Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about safely running a right angle grinder with the Norton Clipper Classic multi-material wheel cutting various materials. Stay tuned. Before starting any cutting, you want to make sure you have the right grinder and the right wheel for the project. So this is a 4.5-inch grinder. You want to look at the label on the wheel, and it says 4.5-inch wheel. It also has an icon showing you which machine. Gives you a picture of a right angle grinder, and it shows you the angle to cut at. So if you were to use this particular wheel here, it's 6.5 inch, and the icon is showing you a circular saw. So it'll fit this machine and run for this speed, but you would never want to use this on a right angle grinder. Another important factor to check is wheel speed. So this particular grinder here is a variable speed. Max speed is 11,000, set at its highest. So you want to make sure your wheel is rated for higher than the grinder it can run. So this particular wheel is rated for 13,500. One thing that's overlooked by a lot of people is the guards. So there are 2 guards you can run on a right angle grinder. One would be for your Type 27 wheel for any kind of grinding. The other is the Type 1 guard for cutoff. So on this particular guard, it comes down, but it also covers up this side of the wheel in case something happens and the wheel comes apart. It protects the operator from being hit with anything. If you want more details on the guards or how to change them, please click on the link in the description below. Now that we've talked about a few of the safety items, why don't we talk about going through and mounting a wheel. So there's a button on the back that will lock the spindle, and now you want to use the flanges that come with the grinder. Typically these are specific to each manufacturer, so you'll want to make sure you use the correct ones for your machine. So you put your back flange on and it kind of locks into place. Place the wheel on. And with this, it either has a cutout or it sticks out a little bit depending on the thickness of your wheel. With the thin wheels like this, you're going to want to use that recess side. So you put that on and tighten it up. Now that the wheel is on, you're almost ready to cut. Before we do any cutting, you always want to put on all of your PPE. So you want to make sure you have safety shoes, a face shield, safety gloves, safety glasses, some earplugs, safety clothing. So this is a fire retardant shirt just to make sure I don't get any burns or anything from the sparks. And if anything that you're cutting is really dusty, we also recommend a face mask. So I've cleared the bench off just to show some of the different clamping options that you could use on some of the projects that you're doing. So very important to make sure you have your pieces clamped nice and tight. So one, for some of your bigger stuff, you could have this jaw horse right here. But if you don't have the money to buy the fancier stuff, a small vise, you could use a C-clamp or even a vice grip like this one here. Another main thing is to make sure that the piece is clamped nice and tight so it doesn't move or even bounce. So if the workpiece isn't clamped tight enough, when you go to push with your grinding wheel, it could push out of the way. You could pinch the wheel and cause a wheel breakage, or your cut's not going to be straight. So you always want to make sure you put it nice and tight, and now the piece won't move. Now when you go to cut, you want to clamp it so it's nice and close to the clamp to give you more rigidity. If you try cutting on this side over here, the issue that you're going to have is it's going to start to vibrate. It could bend the metal, it could break the wheel, it could break your part or something like that. So you want to keep it nice and close to the vise so it's nice and secure, it's nice and rigid. And for a cutting tip, you always want to orient your work to keep the area of contact as small as possible to give you the fastest cut. So if you were trying to cut across here, it would take longer. You cut this thickness here, you get a nice straight cut, and it'll go nice and quick. Another helpful tip when cutting, Don't jam or smash the wheel into the workpiece. Go nice and easy and let the wheel do the work. Depending on what material you use, sometimes you might want to make a score and then cut again right after, just to make sure you don't do any damage to the material you're cutting. Now that we've showed you how to properly set up, clamp, and cut, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and thanks for watching.